Hey guys, welcome back to another fine episode of Right on Focus with Jean and Nadine.
We have a great show for you. Nadine actually interviewed Juanita Broaddrick, and we're going to have that interview for you here. And I'll also ask Nadine a little bit about Juanita, what she thinks about her.
She's absolutely incredible. I'm super excited to be able to share with you guys. So we'll be right back. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back, everyone. We're on Right on Focus, and today we have an interview that Nadine did with Juanita Broaddrick. To catch everyone up to speed, most everyone knows who she is, but Nadine, for everyone else, just kind of walk everyone through who Juanita Broaddrick is.
Absolutely. Juanita Broaddrick, she has been relevant in the news for almost 40 years at this point. In 1978, she was pushed to the forefront when she was raped by Bill Clinton. Then again, that was brought up and kind of exposed in the early 90s when Bill Clinton ran for president. A lot of his dirty laundry was being aired. And then I believe in 1994 when Paula Jones' lawsuit came out against his sexual liaisons. And at that point, with the lawsuit, she was then dragged into the scene again to discuss. And most recently, in 2016, when Hillary Clinton ran for president, it was just kind of, that wound was exposed and opened again. So she was brought out to, once again, discuss what had happened back in 78.
And Nadine, she has a new book out about this. And I feel in many ways that this book was really interesting because it came out when she was no longer scared of the Clinton machine and what harm could happen to her. And it has a lot to do with Donald Trump standing behind her.
Sure. There was actually a very interesting interview. It was between Donald Trump was on Sean Hannity. And in that interview, Donald Trump was actually the first person to kind of stand up and say it out loud. And that really gave her, I think, a lot of, I believe she had said, you know, if Donald Trump can stand up for me, I'm going to stand up for him. And that's when she really got on board and started supporting our president. So.
And Nadine, finally, what was Juanita Broaddrick really like? I know that you had a really good connection with her because, I mean, she is talking about rape, and I just have to bring it out because you felt close to her because of something, basically a sexual assault that happened to you when you were 12.
I think that there are a lot of women, girls who have had an experience, maybe not on that level, but the statistics are out there, and I believe the statistics are probably even light. The truth is a lot of folks have an experience, and most of them tend to keep it to themselves. They don't discuss it. It's not a public thing. I think to accept the label of victim is one thing, and most powerful women don't want to take on labels at all, but victim is certainly not one of them that you'd accept. So you just pack up your things and you keep moving.
And you know, the thing with Juanita is she was already a extremely successful woman.
Unbelievable.
She was successful, and then this got thrown into her, and then it almost seems like it defined her, but it hasn't, because she's actually become a voice for American women.
Unintentionally, really. What had happened was in 2016, when Hillary Clinton, began her run for president, she had come out with a statement on her website supporting victims. Victims need a voice. All victims have the right to be heard. And, that struck a chord with Juanita. All victims have the right to be heard. Meanwhile, in 1978, it was Hillary Clinton herself who grabbed a hold of Juanita's arm and told her, in so many words, zip it. So that's when Juanita stepped forward and said, you know what? No more. 40 years, it's time to write this book. It's time to go ahead and get this party started.
So we're going to be right back on Right on Focus, and we're going to have that interview for you, and then we're going to also talk more about this. So stay tuned.
Hi, all. This is Nadine with Right On Focus. Today we are here with Miss Juanita Broaddrick. She is the writer of a new book. Well, it's not super new at this point, is it?
First of January of last year.
Okay, so new-ish. Yeah. So, yep, and I'm going to go ahead and ask her a little bit of questions, just kind of get the ball rolling here and chat a little bit more on life with Juanita. I think the best place to start would be just kind of give me a background on what it was that finally brought you to decide, I'm going to put it all down, I'm going to put it on paper, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. What was that thing?
It's after I had gone through that year of realizing that Trump was the one that I wanted elected as our president. And after he was, it was just such a, it was a shock. It was overwhelming to me that he won.
And that being because we had, I guess, it kind of opening a wound for you again, because here we had Hillary running against him.
Exactly. And I had gone through 4 decades of the Clintons getting by with everything. And you want to say getting by with murder, but I mean, I don't know. But it was just something that you couldn't visualize. The biggest weight of my life was lifted off of my shoulders that night, or that next morning at about 2 a.m.
This time she didn't win.
She didn't win at this time. Yes. So I was so thrilled that he won. Then I went to the inauguration and all the balls and everything. That was wonderful. Yeah. And when I get back home, I'm thinking, I thought it was all done. I thought, well, I'm out of this now and it's all done. And I thought, I need to sit down and write my memoirs for my son. Of specific dates and things about my life that he had always asked about. And I thought, I'm going to document this. So I spent about 2 months going to my computer. And when it got too emotional, I would wait until the next day or that evening and go back to it. So I spent about 2 months doing that. And it was just sort of a labor of love to give to my son someday. Finished it, clicked save, and didn't think about it. I thought, I'll print that out for him someday. And then I had a reporter from Jacksonville, Nick Lully. He's also a co-writer of the book. He didn't write the book, but he wrote the foreword. Okay. And he called me and he said, I'd really like to do a serialized interview of you about your life. And I said, I've got an outline.
Yeah. How about that?
And I sent it to him. And he read it. Of course, it's a quick read.
Yeah.
And he read it overnight, and he called me the next day. He says, oh, no, we need to do a book. And I said, that's not a book. That's just something I wrote for my son about my life, what I'd been through. And I said, that's not a book. And he said, oh, yeah, we're going to self-publish it. So there was so much else had I thought, if it had been that I thought it was going to be a book, that I would have added. And so I may have to write another one.
Well, you know what? I welcome that. I do. I loved the book.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it, I absolutely insist that you do. It's a wonderful read. I mean, like you said, it's a quick read. But I think what I loved about it is there was so much of your personal heart in it. And like we had talked about yesterday, when something big like this happens in somebody's life, and it can take people over. I think it can. You really run the risk of it becoming who you are.
Yeah.
And I loved reading your book because from start to finish, you were amazing. You were just an entrepreneur, a mother. I mean, you were insistent on succeeding in life before any of this.
Right.
And you know what? There was a bump, and it was a big bump.
Yeah.
But you just picked up everything and said, I'm going to keep on keeping on.
Well, you brought up something that was so important to me. I had authors, just 2 or 3, that approached me to say, we'd like to do a book, but they didn't want a book about me.
Right.
And to me, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were a small part of my life.
Right.
You're right. It was a bump in the road of life. And it was horrible. But that didn't define me.
Right.
And so that I said, no, I must talk about my life for other young women that are out there that are fighting the system.
Yes.
I must talk about my life.
I love that you go there because now you had said that since publishing, I guess, since this has come out, that you've received a lot of messages, and private messages, whether that be via Twitter or Facebook, social media,
Right.
Women reaching out and saying thank you so much for being a voice.
I'm amazed.
You are now, whether you accept it or not, the face of a women's movement where women will step up and say, gosh, if Juanita can do it, as big as that is, and you know what, as dangerous as they are, you can say, we don't know. We don't know. We may soon.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting is when I was reading reviews on your book, most of them are wonderful.
Yeah,
Most people
you.
have really wonderful things to say, and they're very
Thank you.
supportive. Now, when you bump into the naysayers and those folks who have negative things to say, it's always back to the one thing. That one thing being, well, she said it didn't happen. Do you remember when she said it didn't happen? She said
Exactly.
it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Now, I don't want to take away, I want to validate exactly that place. Because I think for a lot of people, a lot of women in that particular position who've been through something like that,
Yes.
it is not the knee-jerk reaction to run screaming from, on every mountaintop what happened to you.
Right.
Speaking from my own personal experience, as a 12-year-old,
Oh my.
for me, when they came and they wanted a statement and they wanted to, and I remember them saying specifically, by you putting this down on paper and publicly saying that this happened, you could really help prevent this from happening to someone else, to another little girl. And
Yeah.
I just said,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a hero. I
understand.
don't want to be a hero today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for those people who are there saying, well, she said it didn't happen, immediately I thought, that means nothing. That means
No.
that does not mean it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's like you said yesterday, you said the quicker I could get up and get moving and keep on moving and keep myself busy.
Just put one
Spoke
foot in
volumes.
front of the other. This is
Correct.
what I had to do for so
And you
long.
did. And you kept going with your business.
Right. And then all of a sudden, I get quiet. I even become
Sure.
more successful.
Yes.
And I open up another facility. And life is good. And then all of a sudden one day, here comes Paula Jones people. And they want to undo my life.
Yes.
And I'm seeing everything else out there that's
Now-
happening to the women.
In the timeline of this, that would have been though 90s.
97.
Yes.
Yeah, on up in 97.
So that's when they kind of, come
Right,
into your life and let's toss it up. And
Right. Her investigators appear at my front door and want to know about what had happened to me. And I did not know they were recording me at all. And so I start to say, hey, that's too much for a person to have to go through again. Please, I am not going to talk about that. And lo and behold, they recorded me. But when they left, I thought, I've convinced them that this is a hurtful thing for me. Don't bother me. And then within a few weeks, I get subpoenaed by her attorneys as Jane Doe number 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was hurtful, and I was angry. And that's why I went to that deposition and said, nothing happened. I'd be damned if I was going to allow them to draw me into their own civil court case for their own good when I had pleaded with them to please leave me alone.
Right. Yeah. So I guess, from my own experience, I validate the truth in where that came from, that place that came from. It's to protect yourself.
Oh, exactly.
In what little bit of self that you have left to preserve. It's just keep the walls up and leave it be. I'm fine and I'm moving on.
Exactly.
So then there was also, I thought, something interesting that you had written on. When I think it was Hannity. I think.
Yes.
Okay. So I believe it was an
Yes.
interview of Donald Trump. Okay.
Right.
Donald Trump was being interviewed with Hannity,
Uh-huh.
and some names got brought up. Yours being one of them.
Right. And I'm still in that process, I wasn't a big Trump supporter in the beginning. It was like James Wood said. He said, Trump may be vinegar, but Hillary is arsenic.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
Love
the way I took it. He's not exactly someone that maybe I can grasp onto that quick. But then it grew and it grew and it grew. And so then one day in May or June of 2016, Hannity is interviewing him right after all these photos of these women come out in the New York Times. And Hannity is saying, what do you think about all this? And of course, I didn't believe most of them. I didn't believe any of them. And there were so many of the women that were in that said, no, I never said that,
right.
After that
yes.
came out.
Yeah.
And then Hannity's saying, yes, he said, it's all about, he said, what about Hillary and Bill? He said, it's about groping, it's about sexual assault, it's about, and then when Trump comes in and says rape. And I was watching that at home and I thought, my God, that man's speaking right to me.
Yes,
I was the
ma'am.
only one that had come out with the rape allegation, in that public. And so, yeah, from then on I thought, if he can stand up for me, I can
Yes,
certainly
ma'am.
stand up for him.
Yes, ma'am. And I think
Yeah.
that is the individual story of Donald Trump speaking to you.
Yeah.
But in that same fashion, he's spoken to a nation. I feel like
Yes.
I feel like Donald Trump will take a situation and he rips the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And while everyone else is kind of, we're all like cringing and, somebody's in the corner throwing up and, everybody's trying to digest what we just saw behind that Band-Aid. He's like,
Yeah.
Are we going to get the bullet out?
Yeah.
Is kind of what he
Oh,
is
you're so right.
how he
Yeah.
attacks things. And
Yeah.
so it's never been beautiful, but gosh, it's the truth.
Yeah, it's effective.
Oh, it's ugly, but it's the truth. And he's like, look at it,
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
I thought that was interesting that
Yeah.
you said, it was kind of Donald Trump who called it what it is.
Yeah.
Ugly as it might have been.
Exactly.
So that I thought was pretty interesting. But I guess more than anything, I really, really enjoyed. I felt like, and I hope that viewers will too, pick up Juanita's book and read it because it is, besides
Thank
knowing the inside of the situation that you think of when you hear her name, there's so much more. She's an incredible nurse, a wonderful mother, and that is another whole story in itself.
Yeah.
How you came to be a mother.
Yes, I know.
I mean, everything about this
I know.
woman's story is there's inspiration after just. Please read it, and you'll be so glad that you did.
Thank you so
yes,
much.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
I'm very, very excited to now call you a friend.
Oh,
And
thank
yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And truthfully, well, you all. I'm going to speak with my good friend Juanita. I thank you all for being with us, and please, again, pick up her book. She's a wonderful person, genuinely warm, and hopefully one day, if you're making the circuit, do the Trump rounds, you'll bump into her one day yourselves.
Thank you.
But
There was a time when I had my head in the sand. Then I found out that power players pass lies for truth and truth for lies, especially in areas of life and health. I used to stay quiet, and now I speak up. I red pill my family, I red pill my friends, and I support redpillliving.com. Red Pill Living has real health products that support longevity, vitality, and detoxification against the deep state attacks on your health. It's redpillliving.com. Wake up, stand up, speak up.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you would, please go and look for Juanita on Twitter. She's really got a lot of good stuff going on. Her Twitter handle is a tennis nut.
And the thing with Juanita, she's also a wonderful speaker. She's traveling the country right now speaking. If you get a chance, check her out.
Please.
Definitely. And also, please check out our premium content. We have a little bit more about that interview with Juanita Broaddrick, but it's really interesting something that she says that gives both me and Nadine hope that justice is coming soon. And you're absolutely going to see Juanita Broaddrick back in the headlines soon. She has a lot of big announcements coming up. And don't worry, Bill Clinton, you'll enjoy it.
One day yourselves.
Thank
But
you.
if you don't mind, I would love to pray for you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. Father God, I come to you today with this wonderful, wonderful woman beside me, and I know you know what's in her heart. God, I ask you that you just continue to pour your strength into her. She's really become a voice and a weapon, and I know how proud you must be of this fine, fine woman, your daughter. Just continue to use her in any way that you see fit. Push this message to the front. And Lord, I ask you when it's time, I know it's coming, but it's on your time. Please, Father, give us the necks of our enemies in your time. And when that time does come, we'll glorify your name, because we know this was given because you knew we were ready. So Father, continue to use this woman, and I'll continue to keep her in my prayers. All these things we ask in your grace and your glory. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you did great.
Thank you.